What if I told you that every single day, without sitting at a desk, without memorizing grammar rules, without taking a single test, you could become fluent in English? No textbook, no classroom, no stress, just stories. Real, powerful, human stories that speak directly to your emotions, your dreams, and your desire to grow. Stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to share with you completely changed the way I, and thousands of others, learn to speak, understand, and think in English. And once you hear it, you won't be able to go back to the old way. Let's be honest for a second. You've probably tried to learn English before. Maybe you downloaded an app. Maybe you bought a course. Maybe you sat through hours of grammar videos, repeating the same phrases over and over again until your brain went completely numb. And yet, when a native speaker opened their mouth and started talking at natural speed, your mind went blank. The words dissolved. You understood nothing. That feeling is incredibly frustrating. And it's also incredibly common. Because the traditional approach to language learning has a fatal flaw. It teaches you about a language instead of immersing you inside it. Think about how children learn to speak. No child has ever sat through a lecture on verb conjugation. No toddler has ever studied the difference between present perfect and past simple before opening their mouth. Children learn by listening. Constantly. Obsessively. They absorb the rhythm, the melody, the patterns of language, and then, one day, they just start speaking. Science backs this up completely. Linguists call it comprehensible input, the idea, pioneered by researcher Stephen Krashen, that we acquire language not by studying it, but by understanding messages delivered in that language. When the input is just slightly above your current level, when you understand most of it but still have to reach a little, your brain lights up. It starts building new neural pathways. It starts storing patterns, vocabulary, and rhythm automatically, without conscious effort. The problem with most English courses is that they skip this step entirely. They go straight to output, speaking, writing, testing, before the brain has had enough input to work with. It's like trying to wring water from a dry sponge. The solution? Fill the sponge first. So we've established that listening is the foundation of language acquisition. But listening to what? Here is where most people go wrong again. They listen to boring audio tracks. They replay slow, robotic sentences designed for beginners. They watch sitcoms full of slang they don't understand. None of it sticks, because none of it matters to them. And this brings us to the secret ingredient that most language programs completely ignore: emotion. When you are emotionally engaged with content, your brain releases dopamine. And dopamine is the ultimate learning drug. It tells your memory system, this is important, hold on to it. Stories that move you, stories of struggle, courage, failure, and triumph, trigger exactly this response. Motivational stories hit the perfect combination. They are compelling. You want to know what happens next, so you keep listening. Emotionally resonant. You feel something, inspiration, empathy, determination, and that feeling anchors the language in your memory. Linguistically rich. They use a wide range of vocabulary, varied sentence structures, idioms, and natural speech patterns. The same language you need for real-world conversations. Contextually meaningful. Every word exists inside a story, inside a situation, inside a human life. So instead of memorizing that persevere means to continue despite difficulty, you hear it in the voice of someone describing the darkest moment of their life, and you never forget it. When you listen to a story about a woman who fled poverty, worked 3 jobs, and went on to build a company that employs hundreds of people, you don't just hear English. You experience it. You feel the weight of her exhaustion. You celebrate her victories. And every word she uses to describe that journey gets burned into your memory with an emotional timestamp. That's not studying. That's living the language. Now let's get practical. Because knowing why this works is one thing. Knowing how to use it is what will actually transform your English. Here is a simple, proven framework you can start using today. Step 1. Choose the right level. This is crucial. If the story is too simple, your brain gets bored and stops paying attention. If it's too complex, you get lost and frustrated. You want to understand around 70 to 80% of what you hear. The remaining 20 to 30% should feel like a comfortable stretch, not a wall. Start with stories that have clean, clear narration. TED Talks are excellent for this. So are biographical audiobooks, documentary voiceovers, and motivational podcasts. Many of these are also available with transcripts, which brings us to Step 2. Step 2. Listen first, read second. Resist the temptation to read the transcript first. Instead, press play and simply listen. Don't pause. Don't look anything up. Just let the language wash over you. Notice what you understand. Notice the parts where you feel lost. Notice how the speaker's voice rises and falls with emotion. After your first full listen, then open the transcript. Read along as you listen again. This time, your brain is doing something remarkable. It is connecting the sounds it already heard with the written words, building a bridge between spoken and written English simultaneously. Step 3. Shadow the speaker. Shadowing is one of the most powerful techniques in language acquisition. After you've listened twice, try to mimic the speaker, in real time, if you can, or just slightly delayed. Copy their pronunciation, their rhythm, their pauses, their emotional tone. Don't just repeat the words. Embody them. Try to feel what the speaker feels as they tell the story. This does two things. First, it trains your mouth and your ear to work together in English. Second, it accelerates your speaking confidence dramatically because you are not just learning words, you are learning how a native speaker sounds when they mean something deeply. Step 4. Review vocabulary in context. After listening and shadowing, pick 5 to 10 words or phrases that were new to you. Don't just look up the definition and move on. Instead, write down the sentence from the story in which the word appeared. Say it aloud. Then try to use it in a sentence about your own life. Connecting new vocabulary to personal experience makes it 10 times more memorable than a definition ever could. Step 5. Repeat, don't rush. The biggest mistake learners make is moving too fast. They finish one story and immediately jump to the next, racing to cover as much content as possible. But language acquisition is not about coverage. It's about depth. Spend 3 to 5 days with a single story. Listen to it in the morning. Listen to it again while cooking or commuting. Come back to it before bed. Each time you listen, you will hear things you missed before. You will understand more. You will feel more comfortable with the natural speed and rhythm of real English speech. Let me give you a taste of the kinds of stories that work especially well for this method, and why. Think about the story of Nick Vujicic, a man born without arms or legs, who became one of the world's most celebrated motivational speakers. His talks are delivered in clear, emotional English, packed with vivid imagery, powerful metaphors, and deeply human vocabulary. When he describes what it felt like to try to stand up as a child, to fall and fall again and fall again, every single word becomes unforgettable. You don't just learn the word resilience. You understand it in your bones. Or consider the story of J.K. Rowling's Harvard commencement speech, where she talks openly about failure, about being a single mother, broke and depressed, rejected by publisher after publisher. Her language is precise, literary, and emotionally honest. Listening to her speak English is not just language practice. It is a masterclass in the beauty of the language itself. Or think about the speeches of great leaders, people like Nelson Mandela, Malala Yousafzai, or Steve Jobs. These are stories of vision, struggle, and belief told in some of the most carefully crafted English sentences ever spoken. Every phrase has been chosen for maximum impact. Every pause is intentional. Listening to them is both inspiring and deeply educational. The beauty of motivational stories is that they come in infinite variety. Stories of athletes who overcame injury. Stories of immigrants who built new lives in new countries. Stories of scientists who refused to give up. Stories of ordinary people who did extraordinary things. For every interest you have, there is a powerful story told in English waiting for you. Here is something I want you to really hear, because it goes beyond language learning. Every motivational story you listen to in English does something beyond teaching you vocabulary and grammar. It teaches you how English speakers think. Language and thought are deeply connected. The way a culture tells stories reveals its values, what it celebrates, what it mourns, what it believes about struggle and success and human potential. When you absorb the rhythms of English storytelling, you begin to think in the language more naturally. You begin to feel comfortable expressing your own ideas, your own emotions, your own story in English. This is what separates people who can technically understand English from people who can truly speak it with confidence and authenticity. The second group has not just memorized the language. They have lived inside it, through thousands of hours of stories, until the language became a natural extension of their own thinking. And here's the beautiful part. The stories themselves will change you, not just your English. Because when you spend time listening to people who have faced genuine hardship and emerged stronger, when you hear their voices, feel their emotion, follow their journey, you absorb something beyond language. You absorb perspective. You absorb courage. You absorb the understanding that your own challenges are not obstacles. They are the story. So here is what I want you to do right now. Before you close this video, before you get distracted, before tomorrow becomes next week. Go find one story. Just one. Search for a TED Talk on a topic that genuinely interests you. Find a biographical podcast about someone you admire. Download the audiobook of a memoir that has always called to you. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is that you start. Listen to it today. Don't worry about how much you understand. Don't worry about taking notes or looking up every word. Just listen. Let the English flow around you like water. Let the story reach you. Then come back tomorrow and listen again. And again the day after that. Notice what changes. Notice how much more you understand on the third listen compared to the first. Notice how certain phrases start to feel familiar, even comfortable. Notice the moment, and it will come, when you stop translating in your head and simply understand. That moment is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning. You came to this video because some part of you believes that your English can be better. Some part of you knows that language is not just a skill, it is a door. A door to opportunity, to connection, to a version of yourself that can move through the world with greater freedom and confidence. Motivational stories are the key to that door. Not because they are magic, but because they are real. They are human. They meet you where you are, and they take you somewhere new, in English and in life. So keep listening. Keep showing up. Let the stories carry you. And remember, every great speaker you will ever hear in English was once exactly where you are right now. At the beginning, wondering if they could ever really do this. They did. So can you.